Hello and welcome back to another episode for 52 Press. My name is Sharissa Bradley and I am so excited that you are here. On this video, I'm going to be sharing a little tiny bit about my writing process and a little video walkthrough of the book that I published, Journey Back to Health. I actually published my very first version of this book in 2008, and it was actually published by a dear friend of mine. Her name is Alexa. She owns a publishing house called Cat Biggie Press, and she believed in me and she helped me walk through this whole process of writing this book. She met with me every single month to get this book out into the world. And then she was actually my first publisher. And then after about 5 years, I did open up my own publishing house, 52 Press. And we focus primarily on publishing memoirs and other nonfiction type books. And so I was obviously eager to publish my book myself. And after about 9 months or so of being in the field, I actually bought the rights back to my book and published the second edition of this book, Journey Back to Health. And I was able to correct a lot of the mistakes that I had made the first time around. Mostly, I had never read a book thinking, I'm going to write a book someday. And so I had never really paid attention to the details of the size and the cover and the font and the colors that were going to be used. And so after 5 years of reading my book in this format, I just had picked so many little tiny things that I had wanted to adjust and change. And Alexa over at Cat Biggie Press actually helped me through that process of completely reformatting the book into the book of my absolute dreams. So this book was like a 10-year writing process, published for 5 years, and then an additional year of formatting and changing up the book to make it exactly how I wanted it and exactly how I envisioned it. But now it really truly does depict everything that I would want in this book. And this book is about my journey into healing my body. And that concept could not even be more fitting when it came to writing this book because the book writing process and the publishing process ended up being an incredible journey that only really finished about a year ago when I published it again under my own publishing house, 52 Press. And now it's out into the world in multiple formats. But I'm not going to lie, there's quite a few of these books out in the world as well. This one actually did win the Forward Indies Review bronze for the health category. And that was an incredible accomplishment. So I could not be more proud of this book. I just had some aesthetic changes I wanted to make, as well as tons and tons of things like typos and sentence structure and just a 5 years newer me version of this book. But truly, this book is actually about my journey back into health, or something that I really had never even imagined, which was this strong, very independent, very capable, very energetic person. And I had never really been that in my life. So when I started getting really tired and really sick and had almost nothing in me energy wise, mental capacity, my mental health was completely in the dumpster. I couldn't remember my family's names, my own children who I named. Their names were gone to me completely. I started calling everybody I knew babe or honey or love or some other nickname because looking at somebody, I would start to get really terrified and panicked and think like, I know you, but I just can't think of your name and it's gone from me completely. And that was terrifying. I was only 27 years old and I was experiencing these symptoms that I had no concept of. I had no idea what I was going through. I had no idea what was happening to me. I started seeing several different doctors who gave me conflicting information every single time I went. It was the opposite of what they had said previously or the opposite of what someone else had said, which put me into such a state of shock and worry and fatigue where I already had no energy to give. So that really put me into a state of hopelessness and despair and not really wanting to get up the next day and not really wanting to live this life that I had no energy to live anyways. And that all became my reason for writing this book because I wanted to show people I understand what it feels like to lay in bed all day and have no energy to do any of the tasks necessary. Even getting up to use the bathroom was such a chore, getting up to get water or food or any type of sunlight or fresh air just became so taxing inside that I really had no desire to do any of those things. And my ideas in that moment were not to continue living life. But in order to do that, I was going to have to give myself a reason to keep going. And one of those things was I promised myself that I would help as many people as I could if I could get out of it myself. And that was the courage that I needed to dig myself out of autoimmunity and to dig myself out of constant chronic fatigue and all of these other issues and pain that had built up in my body. The things that the doctors couldn't tell me anything of, and the things that they were just trying to silence and squish down. So I was really, really desperate to try to get myself out of this place and try to get myself to a place of health and healing and really feel good inside my body and have that desire to be a person and interact with the world. And that's where Journey Back to Health came from. And I wrote this book in order of the way that I wish that someone would have helped me. I scoured the internet for someone who could support me on this journey of healing myself with food and mindset shifts and perspective shifts and healing a lot of these stories that I had held for myself. Things like I needed to be a superhero all the time and I needed to save everybody all the time and I needed to do everything for everybody and be everything for everybody. And in order to heal my body, I had to close all of that down. I call that a superhero complex. And I write about that in the first few chapters, learning how to let that go because there was not going to be any healing until I was able to release those stories. I also tried things like autoimmune diets and elimination diets and went through a pretty terrible detox. And I write about that in order in case you want to try an elimination diet, what all the different options there are, also what detox might feel like. And then lots of different suggestions on how to get better sleep, how to exercise, how to get movement into the body. I also do an entire chapter on just the different organs and the different structures that make up the human body so that we get a little bit more of an understanding of what it is that's happening when there isn't healing going on. And at the very back of the book is the workbook. And that workbook is available also in a downloadable form on my website all the time. If you go to sharissabradley.com/extras, there's a link free right to it. You go right to it and you can print it as many times as you want and work it as if you are working the book like a healing program. There's a 3-month check-in, a 6-month check-in. There's also all types of checklists to see how you're doing, to give you a little baseline for what's going on inside of your body. When we start to heal, it's really this awesome thing happens where we start to forget the pain that we experience, which is amazing. But if you give yourself a little record of where you've come from, it will remind you how far your healing has come. And you can print that workbook as many times as you possibly want. You can scratch in this book, you can write in this book, you can use it as your own little guide. It is a little bit of my story and a little bit of my memoir, but it's 17 chapters on really guiding you on your own journey and then following that with a workbook on doing the work yourself, helping you establish your why, helping you build your medical team, helping you to come up with the proper words to create new stories in your mind, the type of person that you show up in the world as. I really do hope this book helps people. That's why I wrote it so long ago. I wrote it mostly for myself. Then 5 years later, I re-evaluated it with fresh eyes and I wrote it for everyone else because I was out living on the road in an RV, traveling the United States with my family in full health, in a place in my life, in my mind that I could have never imagined for myself just 7 or 8 years earlier when this book came out. And I was barely coming through with the energy to get through my tasks for the day. And when this one came out, I was literally traveling and hiking every single day and playing with my kids and having the energy to explore and create for myself and to find new hobbies. I started painting and learned ceramics and taught myself how to sew, all because I had the mental clarity and the energy that came from healing my body all the way down to the roots, not just the organs and the cells and the tissues, but my mind and the stories that were keeping me there in the first place. I really do hope you check out this book and check out 52 Press and the other amazing memoirs and stories that are being published over there. I'm really, truly grateful for your time. If you've stuck around all this way, thank you so much. Please check out my book. It is linked down below, and I just really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye.